Together we faced many, many local questions, seats on both the City Council and the school board, plus 5 citizen initiatives, plus 8 recommendations resulting from a year-long Charter Commission process. This was an unprecedented local ballot, and Portland made some big decisions. We said yes to 6 of the 8 charter amendments while deciding against governance changes and against school board budget autonomy. We said yes to 1 citizen initiative, an ordinance amendment regarding tenant protections, and no to the other 4 initiatives. We re-elected Pius Ali to the City Council, as well as Regina Phillips to represent District 3, and we re-elected Sarah Lentz and Ben Grant to the school board, along with Julie Opperman, who will be a new school board representative for District 3. It was a long night waiting for election results. Most of us probably didn't see the final results until today. And while it's never fun to wait that long, the good news is that the waiting was the result of a very heavy turnout. 71% of registered voters made their voices heard. This is great news, and it's an even bigger turnout than November of 2020, which was a presidential election year. I'd like to thank our city clerk, our new city clerk, Ashley Rand, and her staff, as well as many other city staff people and poll workers who all worked very hard to ensure that the election ran smoothly and the votes were counted appropriately. As many of you know, they were here until the wee hours of the morning, so I hope they're home resting right now. With this high turnout, it's safe to say that Portlanders were engaged during this election cycle, and now we have clear direction on how residents want us to govern our city. I was struck by this. It was not an up or down, yes or no vote. People studied and voted intentionally, and I want to thank our voters for doing their homework. As stated, Portlanders approved 1 of the 5 citizen initiatives and 6 of the charter revisions. City staff are now carefully reviewing the language of the amendments as they prepare for implementation of the approved proposal that did pass, the ordinance amendment that did pass. In that case, question C, that ordinance amendment having to do with tenant protections, will go into effect December 8th. That's a 30-day implementation window that we've got on ordinance amendments. The approved charter amendments, which include question 1, a preamble and land acknowledgement, question 3, about clean elections, number 4, proportional ranked choice voting, number 6, Peaks Island Council, number 7, police oversight, and number 8, an ethics commission and code of ethics. The Corporation Council is working with the Charter Commission's attorney to identify the appropriate effective dates for each one of those approved amendments, and we'll be able to confirm those implementation dates next week. It's important to remember that we will need to budget for approved changes in FY24. We will have an annual recurring municipal clean elections fund, and we'll potentially need additional staff to carry out charter changes or policy. For example, an ombudsman person to respond to ethics complaints, or additional staff in the Housing Safety Office. This work to fund support for newly approved changes will take place during our FY24 budget process. Portlanders have resoundingly chosen to keep our mayor, city manager form of government. I believe yesterday's outcome is a strong mandate for stakeholder-informed policy that is managed through intentional, deliberative council process, which I believe is the best way that we can democratically dive in and thoroughly explore policy proposals that we need in order to attack our most pressing issues. Our work is to build a process that ensures we're engaging as many voices as possible, that we're evaluating all sides and considerations, and doing our best to anticipate implications and consequences of policy proposals. I'm energized to do this work with my council colleagues using the council committee structure, working with the community, working with city staff, and doing this work transparently and openly in order to land at the best possible policy results that we can in order to meet our community's diverse needs. While I know that policy-making process done in this way may not produce results as quickly as some may like, I believe it's critical to the adoption of durable policies that will truly achieve the results we look for, as well as policy that is nimble, meaning we can make adjustments when needed. Make no mistake about it, we still have a number of critical issues to address to improve our residents' quality of life, and I'm committed to working efficiently with my colleagues on the council, as well as the community at large, to dive into these policy discussions to see how we can address these quality of life issues and continue to make progress on our council goals. Oops. Okay, this includes working to create more housing opportunities, working with our regional and state partners to create more resources for those experiencing homelessness, resettlement coordination for asylum seekers, developing responsible budgets that elevate equity and inclusion, and city services that meet people's needs, and working to address climate change. And about a month from now, we will go into our annual council goal-setting workshop, established within and required by our city's charter, to identify and agree on new and/or additional shared goals and priorities for the upcoming year, so that our committee work and our council work reflects the most important needs of the City of Portland. As I said during my recent State of the City address, these have been busy and unrelentingly challenging days and years. We have faced and responded to many challenges. We have done a lot, and a lot remains to be done. Both statements are true. And now that the election is over and campaigning is done, we can focus on the work of our city together. We have clarity from voters regarding structures, priorities, and expectations, and we have all learned more about our community and about one another as a result of proposals that have been made, whether they were approved by a majority of voters or not. I know this council is listening, I know city staff is listening, and I know that all work benefits from people genuinely wanting to work together. And I'm going to repeat that. We will benefit from genuinely wanting to work together, which will often result in compromise. And in my opinion, that is okay. We don't have to agree on all things. We can disagree respectfully. We can remain open to learning more, to being open to other perspectives, and we can work together to make progress and to establish greater stability at City Hall in the interest of and in service to our community. So to that end, tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning, we will meet once again as a search committee in order to address the issue of the vacated city manager position. This is important work that I'm eager to continue. It's work that has been on hold, even though we have an amazing interim city manager. And while I am so grateful to city staff who have persevered and stepped into interim roles, I know we owe it to our city staff, to the community. I know we owe it to city staff and to the community to pursue stability that will support council and community priorities. These have been intense days. My thanks go out to all voters, to all who contributed to the democratic process as we made decisions as a community, and to all city staff who continue to work tirelessly in service to our community. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions. Can you repeat the question?
Do you think that based on last night's results, to speak of a mandate, do you think that there's been a mandate to reform the citizens' initiative process here in Portland?
I have asked the council to consider going into a workshop, depending on the outcome of the election, to talk about Chapter 9 and that part of our code that addresses citizen-initiated ordinance amendments. We've heard from a lot of people in our community that the process isn't working right now. So I do intend to ask to have a workshop scheduled in order to go in with the council to understand the will of that body to address changes and to look thoroughly at what we have now and what may be a better system. So that would need to go to voters. And if the council initiates possible changes to Chapter 9, that would go out to voters. The other way it can come to voters is through a citizen initiative process. But yes, I guess to answer your question, I do think that we have a responsibility to look at that part of our code.
Two questions. One, can you talk a little bit more about the timeline for hiring the city manager and what that might look like?
Yeah, so as mentioned, we will meet tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. What we've done is we're calling it phase one of the city manager search. We've been working to be ready for today. And today was going to be a place where we decided, are we moving ahead with a city manager search, or are we shelving that work so that a new government structure can take that on? So now we know that we're going to move ahead. So tomorrow morning we'll be having a discussion about how to complete phase one of the work, which allows us to post the job with the appropriate brochure and job description, and get to that point where we're engaging stakeholders in the work. So we'll talk that all through tomorrow morning, but yeah, we'll continue that work.
And my other question is, some members of the Charter Commission have said that maybe it's possible for the City Council to take up some of the pieces of either question 2 or question 5, which have been presented in the past, and maybe find a way to implement some of those pieces, participatory budgeting, giving more clarity around the mayor's role in the budgeting process, working better with the school board. What are your thoughts on that, and whether some of those pieces could maybe be picked up by the council?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I've heard that too, that folks want to be able to have that discussion about, okay, now that we are where we are, what about any of the initiatives or Charter Commission recommendations could be taken up in discussion within the council committee structure or with the council as a whole? And so we need to look at that. You know, something that was proposed as a charter amendment happening outside of the charter, we're going to need to talk through that and what it means. But you know, I'm open to those discussions. I think that a lot of us would say the issues are important, but how we address potential changes or solutions is where we need more people at the table, and we need to talk through what's not working and what may work.
Any thoughts on the minimum wage?
Any thoughts, General? Can you be more specific?
I mean, were you in favor of it? Did you have a thought?
You know, when I've spoken up about this, the focus on the tip credit, or removing that tip credit, I think was an element of question D that didn't get the attention that it deserved to have, and so to take that away was not the right move in my opinion.
Can I just clarify something from his earlier question about the referendum process? So Chapter 9, if there are going to be changes made, that the council would have to send that to voters?
We would.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like any kind of change?
That's right.
Okay, interesting.
That portion of the code requires voter say to make any changes. Interim City Manager Danielle West is here. If anybody has questions for her, that's fine too.
Are you interested in the permanent city manager job?
How did I guess you were going to ask that? I will say, similar to the mayor, I'm still trying to get my feet under me after last night, evaluating all of my options, and you know, very interested in continuing my work, obviously, with the city, but I haven't made any final decisions about the city manager position just yet.
I guess I'll ask you another question. So how much work will be involved on the staff side in implementing some of these things? Like, do you have a sense of that?
Yes, so on the staff side, we've already started talking. We were in advance of the election preparing for the potential to have any or all of these proposals moving forward, and so we have already started talking about implementation. Some of them will require more work than others. All of them will require review by many departments and a lot of coordination. We're, like I said, we're moving forward with that. We have tight windows on at least the referendum question involving the rent control piece. And then there's other deadlines that are in place with regard to the charter amendments, but we'll be working with a lot of various staff moving forward, and I think it will require a pretty good amount of work with us and with the council.
Mayor, just one last question. Supporters of the citizens' initiatives have derided the city council process as being slow, and one of your colleagues on the council today that supported the initiative described City Hall itself as being oppressive, and saying essentially that the process of, as you described, governing through the city council process is a barrier to progress in the city. How would you respond to that?
I think the democratic process was built to include many voices, and that's not work that necessarily happens as rapidly as some people would like, but it's important work that contributes to durable policy making, in my opinion. I think that we have representative government here in the city of Portland, which means we've got different people at the table representing different constituencies, but who are all responsible to the community. And like I said earlier, we have a diverse community and we have varying opinions, and people come to the table with different interests. And so, in my opinion, that can be a slower process because you've got to make allowances for different perspectives. And so policymaking in that environment is not going to be fast. It was designed to be deliberate and iterative, and I believe that's the best pathway. I don't think City Hall is oppressive. I think that we've got 9 people who have the ability to land at policy together, and the work of the city staff is to implement that policy. So, yeah, I guess I disagree with the statement. I'm a big believer in representative democracy. Okie doke. Thanks, everybody. Nice to see you.
Very much.
Thanks. Thank you.